Hello, friends. I apologize for the inactivity. Sometimes life has a way with me, and you know, I can't help but ride its wave. I apologize as well that there will be a lot of cuts in this video. I do have it scripted out, I have it here on my computer with me. I thought I'd rather be transparent with that than have y'all question or wonder if I'm kind of just reading off of something. This episode is going to be a little more personal, vulnerable, very specific. And I feel like whenever I don't really have like a script or a gist and I just kind of yap, it it always goes on some tangent. I always go on some tangent. I always say a bunch of random things and I never get the message across that I want to. So if there's a lot of cuts and that makes this feel a little disingenuous, I apologize. That's not my intent. I'm just a writer, and sometimes I feel like I can write what I want to say much better than I can just say outright. So I guess I just feel like being a little vulnerable with some things. Why? I don't know. Maybe someone needs to hear this. Maybe, me opening up in the ways that I'm about to is going to help someone feel less alone. I don't know. It's not for me to decide, but I just kind of have had a feeling to talk about all of this for a while now. Well, to start, if you've been following along in my little podcast journey so far, we hit 2 months. Wow, isn't that amazing? Go us. In these 2 months, however, though, I have struggled immensely. As some of you may know, the whole camera, microphone, professional setup, it's been a lot. It's been very difficult. I'm the least tech savvy person you'll ever meet, honestly. It's just uh it's difficult to navigate all of this, and not just with recording and planning them out, but also like marketing, editing. There's so much more to this than I think a lot of people understand or want to imagine. And kind of just one day going, hey, I'm going to have a podcast, and going from there, it's not been easy at all. It's been a lot to learn, and I've definitely felt discouraged at times. With all of these setbacks, I've kind of just been like, okay, like, is this even what I should be doing? Is this kind of the universe telling me, like, hey, let's course correct here? You're not supposed to do this. I don't know. But that's kind of the place that I've been in recently. And, sometimes I kind of wonder, like, what's the point? I ask myself, like, who even listens to these things? I think I have like a five or so average. Or, occasionally someone I'll bump into, like, hey, I listened to one of your episodes, and it means a lot. But who really cares about any of that at the end of the day? You know, I often catch myself thinking in that pattern. I have to stop myself, whether one person views this, whether 10 people view this, or 100, or whatever crazy number I can think of. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm not here because I want clout, I want fame, I want anything like that. I'm here because I want to make a difference. There is no selfish intentions with any of this. It's just I want to make one person's life better. And if that one person is me, then that's enough. And I like to think of the many past versions of me as motivation as to why I do this. I think of all of them that could have greatly benefited from my now earned wisdom. How, if I could even have just 60 seconds with a past version of me, how much I could just change their life with how I could just change their life with the wisdom that I've gained in these recent years of my life. And when I think of this past version of me, I realize, while I may not be able to go back in time and talk to him, I think that he's still out there. I think that there's so many people who struggle just as I did, who struggle as I do, who have deeply intricate and difficult trials that can relate to the wisdom that I may have to share. I kind of live by This idea that if I could save someone from being anything like me, that's all I want to do. I don't want someone to live the life that I have. I've gone through a lot. I've experienced a lot of things that I wouldn't wish for other people. And so in sharing my wisdom, it's kind of like a do as I say, not as I've done kind of thing. And when I have all these setbacks in the podcast, in my life, in a lot of things that I just struggle and I can't figure out and I want to give up, I stop myself because I think of all the people that I'd be robbing. And I don't say that in any vain way, like I'm this important person that is vital to many people. I mean, I don't think that. I think that just as I could help a previous version of me with just 60 seconds, I like to think that if I could even help one person with a 60-second clip, maybe from this video, that would be enough. That would be something that would bring me joy, that would make me happy. And that wouldn't be a thing if I gave up. If I stopped doing this, then that one person that whose life maybe I could change or reach, it wouldn't be possible. I think that's one of the reasons why I keep going, why I keep doing this. One of the major motivators that I have in this, and I might have referenced in previous videos, but I think we all believe we are so much more alone than we actually are. And what I mean by that is, I think whenever we go through trials or hardships in our lives, we kind of feel like, oh, nobody understands me. Nobody knows what I'm going through. No one can comprehend. No one can understand. And while someone may not perfectly understand your exact situation, I think that someone might have been through it before. Someone might have valuable input or wisdom from what they've learned from their experience that might be able to help you. And that, in essence, is the premise of this podcast. I want to have as many people on here as I can to share bits and pieces of themselves, their story, what they've overcome, what's important to them, what has kept them going, what has held them up when they've, struggled. I think in sharing these things, it helps all of us feel a little more connected. It helps us feel a little less alone. And I aim to do that through my stories, through my experiences, through being on this podcast and continuing to do this. As a society, even though we are the most connected and in the know we've ever been, I think we are also the most disconnected from each other we have ever been. I think there's a lot of self perceived isolation, and a lot of us kind of think we are so much more alone than we are. I guess all in all, I want to connect with others in some meaningful way. I want to give hope. I want to try to make this world a little bit of a better place. If I can just help one person, that's what I always tell myself is I just want to help one person. If I can help one person per video, if I can impact somebody in a positive way, it's enough for me. And I feel like this is kind of my life's work in a way. I feel like I've been given all of these experiences and I've been shaped into this person who can do all of this. And, this life mission I've given myself, it may seem cool or admirable or respectable, you know, it's also difficult. It's heavy. It's lonely. I'm very lonely. Being vulnerable with you all when I say a million times an episode, I'm doing this all by myself. It's not just the editing, the recording, the producing, it's everything. Sometimes I feel like I don't have anybody that kind of believes in me with this. And I don't think I've ever had anybody look at me and say, hey, like, I believe in you. You can do this. You can make something of this. And it's really hard doing this all alone, feeling like the only person that really believes in me, that sees some kind of future with this. Normal kids go to college, they make friends, they meet their partner, they get married, they get their degree, they get into their job, they go along a specific path in life. And they all have support from family or from friends or from this partner, and I don't really have any of that. And it's even more difficult once, I'm out in public and people ask me like, oh, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm not in school. I run a podcast and I have a couple books I'm going to publish. And I feel like people, they usually respond warmly to that. They're like, oh my gosh, wow, a podcast, a book, this guy's so cool. But I don't think it's ever really taken seriously. I don't think anybody ever really takes me seriously. I feel like this is my life's work and it's real to me. And this is the avenue from which I want to try and accomplish these things to connect people, to, you know, help others. It's where I've felt a lot of purpose and direction. But it still doesn't change how I feel so alone in doing all of this. For so long in my life, I depended on other people for validation, for confirmation of purpose, for direction. I feel like I'm the most extrinsically motivated person you'll ever meet. Everything I've done in my past has been for someone, it's been for something other than myself. I've never been motivated to do something for me. And I think that is a really good reason as to why I feel and have been so alone throughout my life. I think in our lives, we all have these specific trials or crosses or tragedies that kind of follow us throughout our life. And I think mine has always been just fighting this emptiness inside of me by trying to find other people or someone else that will kind of validate me in some way. Struggling with friends and relationships, it's been hard, but I think and I believe that there's purpose in everything. There's purpose in that. I've referenced this in an episode before, but if I had an amazing support system, if I had people that, were consistent in my life and showed up and believed in me, all these things, then I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. It's because I haven't had that my whole life that I'm trying to be that for other people. I'm trying to give what I've never been given. I just think that there is so much purpose in all of our struggles and suffering. I would invite you all to look at the biggest wound or struggle in your life currently and ask yourself, who or where would you be without it? If you're deep in it, it might be easy to say or think, man, my life would be so much better without it. I'd be so much more. But the reality is, and I'd love to challenge you on this, is that you would actually be so much less without it. And trying to change your perspective on trials and struggles doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't change that it is negatively impacted your life or that it's hurt. None of that gets erased because you suddenly decide there's purpose here. But it helps you grow. It helps you have hope. And it helps you maybe just get through today to make it another day. Sometimes that's enough. Lately in my life, I've had to cut a lot of people out, and it's been weighing on me immensely. As someone who really craves connection, friendships, a relationship, to be seen, to be wanted, it's the hardest thing for me to let go of people. But I've had to. I'd rather be lonely than be around people that make me feel alone. But something I've realized in doing this is not every friendship or relationship ends in malice. Sometimes it ends in incompetence. Not many people can handle me. I'm crazy sometimes, full admission. But I've had to realize whatever someone's motives or reasons may be, I have to let go of people that don't meet my needs. That doesn't always leave villains, it just leaves endings. And I try not to hold grudges. I try not to be angry with people because I think at the end of the day, we're all just doing the best that we can. And I think I've also referenced this in a previous episode. I'm a firm believer that people's treatment of you is less a reflection of you. It's more a reflection of themselves and how they're currently doing in their own lives. But again, I want to be clear that I am not blameless in any of this. I'm in no way innocent. I think it's perfectly poetic how I've been hurt and I've been upset and I've struggled with friendships and I've really just had a hard time with how people have treated me. But there absolutely have been people who have probably felt exactly how I feel because of how I've treated them. I am not blameless. I'm not an amazing friend or a perfect partner. I've had many friendships and relationships that I've ruined, and I'll own that. But connecting it back to something I just said, we're human. I got to give myself grace just as much as I give other people grace. I think that there is a great benefit to your life when you live understanding that we're all just doing the best with what we got. Some people maybe weren't taught to be the best of friends. Some people maybe didn't have friendships growing up to understand being consistent and staying in touch or how to treat other people. I know that that's something I've struggled with. Even while I'm recording this episode, I'm kind of just sitting here reading words off my computer like, what am I doing? Why am I even saying all of this? What's the purpose? I don't know. But I feel like saying it. I think there is value in being raw, in being vulnerable, and in just being honest to you with where I'm at. I don't want to be fake. I don't want to pretend like I have my life together. It's actually the opposite. I have nothing in my life together. If I did, I wouldn't be here, you know? I think what I'm just trying to really say is I want it to be clear that I'm not perfect, but I keep trying. I'm not just here to complain and air out my dirty laundry, right? What I would hope that you all gain from this is the same lesson that I've been slowly trying to teach and remind myself. There will be many times in your life where you will feel alone, even if you have so many people around you. There will be many times in your life that you will feel dismayed, discouraged, that there is no hope, that you will feel like giving up, like there's no point in continuing. I feel it right now. I feel it every day. I feel it every single time my stupid podcast equipment doesn't want to work, or someone cancels, or another friendship fades away, or another relationship doesn't pan out. But what I remind myself, and what I want all of you to remember, is that there is purpose in that. There is purpose in all of this. I think the biggest life's message that I can offer to all of you is perspective and purpose. I like to think that the pain you feel in your life can be your power or your prison. I could sit here and I can continue to complain about how I feel alone, about how I struggle in life, about how I don't know what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, I keep going. I consistently, every single day, make the choice to keep going. I look in the mirror and I say the words that I've never heard anyone else say to me, that I believe in me, that I will do this, if not with anybody else, then for everyone else, myself included. My life has purpose. My life has meaning because I choose to make meaning out of all of this struggle and hurt. And the beautiful thing about this is I'm no different than any of you. I'm no better at all. I'm just a normal guy who tries to make ordinary things extraordinary, who tries to make meaning out of the mess of his own life. I guess what I've really just been trying to say this whole episode is even though I've been facing a lot of setbacks, I'm going to keep going. I'm not giving up on this, y'all. I'm not going to give up on trying to help people. This may not seem real. This may not seem like something I could actually do with my life. But you know what? This isn't about money. This isn't about clout or fame or anything. I just want to help other people. I just want to help the person I used to be. He needs so much help. Me 10 years ago was a complete mess. Me today is still a complete mess, just with better style, I think. Whatever your struggles right now in life, whatever difficulty you might be facing, I hope you know you're not alone. I hope you reach out to others. I hope you find strength where you have not been able to find it before. Your life is in your hands. I feel like a lot of the things that I've touched on in this episode, I've repeated through my other solo episodes or little personal yap sessions. I feel like I kind of have a very clear arc or story that I'm trying to tell in my life right now, because there is purpose in everything. Or sometimes we make purpose out of anything, whatever it may be. I so firmly believe that nothing is meaningless. Everything can be meaningful. It's how we interpret it. It's how we choose to move and continue and grow or fall apart. Life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. And that's something I've been learning. You know, I wish life was a little more simple sometimes, but here we are. This is just complete extra content, but I guess as a little bit of filler for what I've been going through and experiencing in my life. To give y'all also a little tidbit, I guess, of what my book is kind of like. In short form, I write out how I'm feeling in what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing in my life. And given the timing of this episode and where I'm at and how I'm feeling and what I feel like I've opened up with, I wrote a poem based on all of that. And I feel like reading it to y'all and adding it into this episode. Um, but yeah, I guess here it is. I named this one A Life of Letting Go. I think this is what it sounds like when a life outgrows its own echo. Quiet at first, like a coat slipping from tired shoulders. No ceremony, just gravity remembering its role. There were names stitched into the lining, threads I thought were permanent, but time has a way of loosening everything that was only ever held together by hope and habit. I used to call it love. What a dangerous word. For something that kept asking me to shrink, to wait, to understand until I disappeared into it. No villains here, just hands that didn't know how to hold me, and a heart that kept saying, maybe this time they will. I am learning how to leave without turning it into a war, how to grieve people who are still alive, how to set something down gently, even when it shattered me to carry it. There is a loneliness to this, a sharp, clean kind, like cold air, filling lungs that forgot what breathing felt like. I miss them. Or maybe I miss who I was when I believed they were mine. Either way, I could not stay in rooms where my voice learned to whisper, not in stories where I was always almost enough. So I am standing here now, hands empty, heart loud, watching pieces of my life walk away without me. And still, I do not follow. Because somewhere beneath the silence, beneath the ache, beneath the absence of everyone, I can feel it. Something unfamiliar, something terrifying, something honest. Space. And in all of this space, I have found something else. Not peace, not yet, but a longing that no longer begs, for a place where I do not have to earn my welcome, for a voice that can finally rest at its full volume, for arms that do not loosen with time. I do not know if it exists, but I know of this. I will not build myself into anything less just to feel at home. So if there is a place or a person or a moment where I can finally set my weight down without fear of having to pick it back up, I will find it. And until then, I will learn how to rest here with all I've ever known. Me, only me. I feel like this poem kind of just encapsulates where I've been at in my life. And for some reason, I feel like reading this to y'all and sharing it. If you want to read or see more of my writing, I have a TikTok. It's called The Walking TED Talk. Look me up there. That's where all of my writing is. A lot of the pieces there will be in my book, so you kind of get a little sneak peek of my book too. But yeah, I guess I just randomly felt like adding this into this episode. Maybe I'll start doing that with my solo episodes. I'll read a piece that is the current summary, I guess, of my life. We'll see. Y'all can always let me know. But this writing is a part of me just as much as this yapping and this podcast is. I hope y'all have enjoyed my rambling. I hope any of this has resonated or made sense with any of you. The biggest message I want you to know is that I see you. I believe in you. You are doing amazing. Keep going. Keep pursuing whatever is making you happy. If that's a degree, if that's a person, if that's a lifestyle, whatever it is, don't give up. You got this, and nothing worthwhile in life is ever easy. That's all I got for this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed the more somber tone. I feel like I was a lot more monotone and less animated than I usually am. And I apologize again if the beginning of this video just felt really disingenuous. My brain is just such a wild card. Sometimes I'm able to so coherently speak and articulate things. Sometimes I'm just completely and utterly blank. It's a toss up what you're going to get, but I hope y'all enjoyed. I have some episodes coming soon. I've recorded a couple. I plan on recording a few more. While this is going to be uploaded on a weird day, you hopefully will still get an upload on Friday. I'm really trying to work on making clips and making my content consistent. The reason I haven't been posting clips is because a lot of my videos and audio is just really weird. I have a new setup now to where I'm going to have 4 microphones. In case these big ones decide that they don't want to work, I now have backups, and I'm going to be also recording from a secondary device. So I literally have 4 microphones and 2 cameras going at the same time. So no matter what, if for some reason one or the other messes up, we can always pivot, we can always switch. Hopefully that solves the problems and we don't have any more issues. But as always, thank you all for being here. This episode is so very over, but pretty soon we'll be so very back. My name is Zach Stoffer. This is the It's So Over podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch y'all soon.